every time something very dramatic happens, you hear people say, "Oh, we could not have imagined that this would happen." So I would say really the first thing we have to do is to start imagining what can happen.
The Indian Ocean tsunami of 2004 cost over 230,000 people their lives, devastating communities across 14 countries. Weeks following the disaster, governments met in Hyogo, Japan, to agree upon a new framework designed to significantly reduce the risk of disasters. 10 years on, the Hyogo Framework for Action has become the bedrock upon which disaster risk reduction efforts have been built. It has brought together national, regional, and local governments, furthered collaboration between the public and private sector, enabled closer partnerships between NGOs and authorities, and empowered local leaders and communities to work together to mitigate against disasters.
You can imagine that over the past 27 years we have many organizations, individuals that have been interested in this. San Bernard Municipality of Philippines.
The municipality of St. Bernard in the Philippines sits in the path of tropical storms and monsoon rains. In February 2006, there was no disaster contingency plan or early warning system in place. Heavy rain and a minor earthquake triggered a landslide. An entire village was destroyed.
So I said, we'll focus on disaster preparedness because I don't want St. Bernard to be known for the tragedy. I want St. Bernard to be known by another title, by another reputation that is being a prepared community.
The St. Bernard of today is much more resilient. The residents and the council, with help from agencies and NGOs, installed an early warning system. Flood and rain gauges and landslide sensors are constantly monitored. All this data is fed to a control center, from where public announcements can be made in case of emergency, and regular training programs are provided for residents. Additional training has been provided to ensure that when disaster does strike, no one is left behind.
We're saying that we cannot change nature, but what we can change is our response to these natural hazards.
In 2012, 7,000 residents from the coastal villages evacuated to higher ground within 12 minutes after a large earthquake triggered a tsunami warning. Dordrecht is an island city in the Netherlands. Because the city lies below sea level, flooding is a frequent reality. While local authorities have invested $7 million in a single ring dike, the local council understands that investment in state-led infrastructure projects is not enough. Residents need tools and knowledge to be self-sufficient in case of disaster.
The Hyogo framework action that has an impact on the Dutch policy. It articulated a risk-based approach. We have to take into account post-event measures that systems may fail. We reformed our strategy in the past decade, and it was not a response to a disaster. It's a proactive reformation of the policy.
The city places responsibility on all parties, including individual homeowners. With access to up-to-date reports on local flood forecasts and supplied with tools such as sandbags, residents are able to take necessary precautions to protect their property on the assumption that the floods will come.
I feel safe here, and my wife feels safe, and everybody around here feels safe.
The port city of Aqaba in Jordan serves as a vital economic lifeline for the country. Local authorities at the Aqaba Special Economic Zone Authority have chosen disaster risk reduction as their top priority. Beyond working to protect roads, public spaces, and buildings from frequent floods and earthquakes, ACISA has created risk maps and shares them along with tools and detailed plans with potential investors.
تم اختيار الموقع حسب الخريطة الزلزالية بالتنسيق مع سلطة إقليم العقبة، وكان الخرائط مبينة أنها الموقع آمن من ناحية الزلازل وأي انهيارات بصير موضوع العقبة، وتعاوننا مع سلطة إقليم العقبة بالنسبة لتحديد الموقع بالذات هذا، وكان الاختيار عليه مناسب 100%.
The city of Aqaba hosted the first Arab regional platform for disaster risk reduction, at which the importance of being economically prepared for disasters was highlighted.
Classically, disasters have not really been seen in economic terms.
It is very important that people understand the economic viability of being prepared for disasters, because if you are prepared and if all your institutions and infrastructure is very well prepared for disasters, then you will incur less losses.
Belo Horizonte, Brazil. Situated on a series of steep hills surrounded by mountains, the city is vulnerable to flash floods and lethal landslides. Following a particularly deadly landslide in 2003, the municipality took decisive action and set up a disaster reduction project, which, despite a very limited budget, has saved numerous lives over the past 10 years. The city identified 80 flooding points and zones that were at risk of landslides. Monitoring equipment was installed. Communication channels were established using both old and new technologies, such as radio, social networks, and SMS notifications. The program actively engages with the community to identify risk and appropriate responses. Local volunteers receive regular training, and they in turn ensure all local residents are aware of what to do. Since 2003, there have been no deaths due to landslides. In the last 3 years, 3 people died in floods.
Eu creio que o nosso trabalho ele é viável para qualquer país do mundo, porque nós não utilizamos somente intervenções de alto custo, mas principalmente aquelas que têm baixo custo e com grande participação da comunidade. Isso favorece com que as ações aplicadas em Belo Horizonte sejam possíveis ser aplicadas em qualquer país do mundo, em qualquer comunidade, por mais pobre que ela seja.
There remain significant challenges ahead. Scientists predict a steady increase in disasters due to variables such as climate change. Some regions face particularly harsh challenges. St. Louis, Senegal, is the city most at risk from rising sea levels in the whole of Africa. The city also suffers regular flooding from the swollen river delta. Seasonal rains bring misery, disrupting lives, attracting disease, and spreading illness. The former mayor of St. Louis, Sheikh Mamadou Abiboulaye Dieye, was instrumental in highlighting the hardships faced by the residents, 2/3 of whom live in at-risk areas. Going on to become the Minister of Planning and Local Government at a national level, he continued to campaign for international recognition of the needs of cities such as St. Louis, which lack the resources to tackle the effects of climate change alone.
We cannot continue to prepare for and respond to disasters piecemeal. The scope and nature of disaster and climate risks are so broad-ranging and so serious that no single actor, no single institution can address them on their own. We simply have to do it together. Nobody can do everything, but everybody can do something.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sasakawa, for being here with us, the first time in 25 years to give a face to the name Sasakawa.
I would like to once again express my deep respect to all the organizations and individuals who have worked so hard, who have acted as one to reduce risk from disasters.
Since 1987, the Sasakawa Award has profiled city mayors, community leaders, disaster risk managers, emergency responders, academic practitioners, applied scientists, public servants, and private sector champions. Sasakawa awardees and nominees understand the importance of inclusion, gender equality, and the involvement of all generations. By introducing innovative, creative, and practical solutions, they are not only saving lives today, but helping create sustainable economies, improving public health, supporting education systems, and providing hope for future generations.